The first on our list is Zachary Wester. Wester is accused of planting drugs in dozen vehicles during random traffic stops.
It appears to be an illegal narcotic. Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Let's look at the following disturbing case. Teresa, a 52-year-old woman, was driving alone on the highway when Officer Wester noticed her headlights flickering. He pulled her over.
You mind stepping out and just hanging out with this deputy right back here?
No, I don't. I'm scared of being in this traffic.
No, Deputy Heike will take care of you.
As you can see, the officer was extremely polite to her, despite being fully aware that he is about to ruin her life. What a facade. He searched her car and planted a small bag of methamphetamine while doing so. She denied the drugs were hers, but who would believe her?
Yes, sir.
That is not mine. No, sir.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you any
No, sir.
I'm not going to ask you any direct questions. I'm going to read you your rights first, okay?
She was charged with drug paraphernalia and possession of drugs and had to go to jail for 19 days. Just like Teresa, a lot of other drivers claimed the drugs weren't theirs, but a significant number of them were still arrested. This led to some internal suspicion. As a consequence, Wester was suspended in 2018. 3 years later, the case proceeded to trial where he entered a plea of not guilty for all charges.
Drugs were there. I did not put the narcotics there.
In 2018, Jackson County Office requested a detailed search into the performance of Deputy Wester. He then went on administrative leave and later on was fired. The prosecution looked into 300 similar cases and more than 100 cases were dismissed. Weston was given 12.5 years of jail time for 19 felonies he committed. Second is Kim Potter. It was the month of April 2021, and Daunty Wright's routine trip to a car wash took an unexpected turn. Wright was driving, while his girlfriend sat next to him. Both were unaware of the forthcoming events that would change their lives forever. Kimberly Potter, a field training officer, saw a vehicle with an improper turn signal, an expired registration, and a prohibited air freshener dangling from the rearview mirror. She also discovered a protective order against Wright issued by an undisclosed woman. These transgressions prompted her to initiate a traffic stop and call for backup. Potter had a body camera that was rolling at all times. Amidst the chaos, confusion gripped the scene as Potter, intending to deploy her taser, discharged her gun, firing a fatal shot in Wright's chest from a very close distance. The body cam footage here shows exactly what happened. This was Kim's reaction.
I grabbed the wrong gun! I shot him! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Right after Wright gets shot, he drives away in his car trying to desperately flee from the scene. However, after a short distance, his car crashes into another car. The consequences were dire, resulting in Wright's death at the scene and the hospitalization of his girlfriend who was sitting next to him. After undergoing legal proceedings, Kim Potter was ultimately found guilty of both first-degree and second-degree manslaughter. Subsequently, she was taken into custody and transferred to the Women's Correctional Facility in Shakopee, Minnesota. Potter's sentencing resulted in a 2-year prison term. She had to serve 16 months behind bars and an additional 8 months under supervised release. She was released last April. Number 3 on our list is Wayne Couzens. This is Wayne Couzens, a former Met police officer from the UK. Wayne Couzens was involved in the kidnapping and murder of Sarah Everard. Sarah, who was 33 years old at the time, vanished in March of 2021 while she was heading home. She was then stopped by a man who later appeared to be Wayne Couzens. He kidnapped her and drove off to a secluded rural area where he committed the heinous crimes of raping and murdering Sarah Everard. Shockingly, he was later captured on CCTV calmly continuing his daily routine in the rural area of Ashford while leaving her body abandoned in the woods. He then proceeded to Ken, where he disposed of her phone. 2 days later, he filled a fuel tank with gasoline and burned Sarah's body inside a refrigerator. To conceal the burned remains, Couzens purchased 2 builder bags, which he used before ultimately disposing of her remains in a nearby pond. Eventually apprehended and handcuffed, Couzens was questioned by the police in his own home. He attempted to shift blame, falsely claiming that a local gang had coerced him into delivering a girl to an undisclosed location to ensure his family's safety.
The group, the gang, whatever, and they told me, well, I need to go and pick up girls and get them to them.
However, both the police and the public knew this to be false. Sarah's lifeless body was discovered 50 miles away in a secluded woodland area in Kent, concealed within a builder's bag. Analysis of Couzens' mobile phone records revealed his presence in the woods where Sarah's body was found. During the sentencing, the judge vividly described the irreparable damage Couzens had inflicted upon Sarah Everard's family and friends. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. The second last is Charles Reeder.
Your Honor, please do not send me to prison.
This is the voice of a desperate man who regretted getting caught. Charles Reeder was the sheriff of Pike County, Ohio. He received a sentence for abusing his authority by stealing money from drug cases. But that's not all. Reeder has also engaged in a web of deceit and manipulation. He tampered with evidence in an attempt to cover his tracks. As justice was compromised, victims were left without closure and criminals roamed free. Reeder was charged with stealing more than $14,000 in drug money from evidence packets and accepting loans from sheriff's office employees to support his gambling habit. Reeder's reason for his wrongdoings is strange. He points to the Pike County massacre. He was appointed to investigate the high-profile mass murder where 8 members of the Roden family were shot to death. He claimed he suffered from paranoia, flashbacks, and night terrors as a result of looking into the massacre. So, to deal with this stress, he turned to gambling. Soon, it became an addiction. He had to find a way to get money and saw easy money in the drug deals. He busted those deals, but kept the money for himself instead of handing that over to the corresponding department. Fast forward to the courtroom. Reeder entered a guilty plea to 2 felony counts of theft in office, 2 felony counts of tampering with evidence, and 1 misdemeanor count of conflict of interest. He cried as he begged Judge Patricia Cosgrove, who had been specially appointed for this case, at his sentence hearing. In his own words, Reeder described himself as a good person who made bad decisions and choices.
I have, and I now pray that the court will find mercy on me. And I beg the court, if they see fit, to grant me community control.
But Judge Cosgrove wasn't faced. When she asked why he did take the money, this was what he had to answer.
I took the money, and mind you, this does not excuse it, but from drug dealers that took it from parents, very poor people in this.
He could have taken ownership of his actions, but no, he tried to make a saint of himself. In July 2019, Reeder consented to his resignation as sheriff. The judge gave Reeder a 3-year jail term, which was divided into 1 year for each act of theft, 2 years for each count of tampering with evidence, and 6 months in the Summit County Jail for a conflict of interest. Lastly, Kyle Erickson and Elmer Pastran. This story begins when officers Erickson and Pastran stopped a vehicle because the driver turned without signaling. When the police approached the car, they mentioned the smell of marijuana. The 4 black men were asked to get out of the vehicle immediately. The driver and passengers confirmed that they had smoked marijuana earlier, but claimed they did not have any narcotics on them. Erickson proceeds to search the passenger side of the car and glances into the back area. He then moves to the driver's seat and remarks that he needs to find something incriminating. Coincidentally, his body camera goes off. He later attributes this to a technical issue. However, Pastran's body camera continues to record everything. Look closely at the floor, nothing is seen on it. Erickson also looks in the same spot but doesn't mention anything. The search has now been ongoing for 3.5 minutes, but it seems like nothing is found.
Nothing clean.
The owner of the car, holding his mobile, films Erickson holding small plastic bags. It remains unclear where the bags originated from or what Erickson is doing with them.
Yo, you were just playing something in my car?
Step back.
Excuse me. Wait, hold on.
Step back.
Yo, he played something in my car, yo. He played something in my car.
The driver of the car is handcuffed and his phone is confiscated. Pastran informs another officer that no illicit items were found. Simultaneously, Erickson remains inside the vehicle. His body camera is reactivated after being off for over 4 minutes. It resumes just as Erickson uncovers evidence, reaching toward the floor behind the driver's seat, the same floor that had nothing on it minutes before.
Yeah.
He emerges holding a joint, claiming it is lit, which he believes gives him grounds to arrest all 4 men. The driver is charged with marijuana possession and spends 2 weeks in jail. During the court hearing, Erickson testifies that he discovered the joint, already lit and in plain view, on the floor. However, it is important to recall that Pastran had declared the area clear. This footage is submitted as evidence, and during Erickson's testimony, the judge intervenes. The police department received advice that Erickson should get a lawyer. Eventually, the marijuana case is dismissed and sealed. The NYPD said that internal investigators reviewed these videos and found no evidence of police misconduct. Which incident did you find the most shocking? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.